We're just giving everything a few more minutes to let the last couple of attendees join, and then we will begin our webinar.
We're seeing some familiar people in the audience. Thanks so much to some of our clients that are joining us today.
Thank you.
We'll give it a minute, one more minute before we get started here.
Perfect. I think everyone's still on vacation mode, even though it's the first official full week.
I know.
You ready?
All right. Yeah, I think we can go ahead and get started, Danielle.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Welcome to our first webinar of Grow with Greenhouse for 2022. We are really excited to see you all, well, kind of see you all, but be hosting this webinar. And this year we are doing things a little differently. Each quarter with our webinars, we are going to have a guest host, an industry professional that a lot of you are all really excited to meet. And the reason we're doing this is to get some great insight straight from the industry professionals themselves, so we can kind of get some of that really valuable information out there. And with that, today, our topic is marketing to contractors and builders. And you are joined by myself, Danielle, the Senior Digital Marketing Manager at Greenhouse, and Madeline.
Say hi, everyone. Pleasure to be here. Hello there. Pleasure to be here.
Another member of our digital team, she as well as our PR team. And then we are joined by industry professional, general contractor, and founder of Formed Space, Conrad. Say
nice
hi.
To be here.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about your background as well as Formed Space?
Sure. I actually began my professional career as an architect. I went to UIC for undergrad and then IIT for graduate to receive my graduate degree in architecture as well. During that time, I worked for some builders kind of on my off time, and they had some programs at school where you could kind of join for 20 hours a week. So I worked for a good general contractor. During that time, I kind of fell in love with the build side. As soon as I graduated, I stuck with architecture for 2 years. I noticed how, it wasn't the right fit for me because it was a very office-oriented profession. We didn't really see what was going on the construction side. So that I essentially took the leap into starting my own thing in 2014 as just being a design build firm, thinking I could tackle the design and the construction. Things kind of picked up. I think being an architect helped me get some projects, and it took off. So now I'm fully focused on just doing general contracting, working with a lot of great architects. And we've been around for about, since 2014 now, so almost 8 years. And we got a team of 6 currently. So do a lot of cool projects. We do very unique builds. That's kind of what our niche is. We don't do anything cookie cutter. So we do tend to gear towards more very one-off projects, which comes with its own set of challenges. And it's kind of what we like. Being an architect, it's kind of in my wheelhouse.
Absolutely. I'm sorry if you didn't mention this, but do you focus more residentially oriented or commercially, or a combination of both?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, we started off doing a lot of residential. It was probably like 90 to 10. We try to gear towards more commercial just because for us, we're very efficient. We want to get in, get out. Residential tends to come with its own unique set of challenges, with the homeowners being very involved from start to finish. So prior to the pandemic, we were shifting towards more commercial, probably 70-30. And then when the pandemic hit, we kind of had to level off because commercial was pretty stagnant. So now we're back to like 60-40 residential side, but we're getting more commercial projects now. So we're seeing more people being open to continuing projects, during this whole pandemic, which is a good sign.
Yeah,
That's
definitely.
great. And that leads us to our first question. Manufacturers have changed a lot of the way they are marketing to their audience and are always looking for valuable information. And obviously with the big shift that the pandemic has brought, they're looking to understand now more than ever what drives product purchase. And they wanted to get some insight and learn from industry professionals such as yourself on how you choose products and what and ultimately makes you decide whether it's a good fit for your project.
Yeah, so it's kind of weird. When I was an architect, the main way that we were exposed to a lot of projects were lunch and learns. Vendors and manufacturers would come in and talk to all of us to provide food. We did get magazines, so it was a heavily kind of either face-to-face or just relied on publications. When I became a contractor, it was a little bit different, especially given my age. I started a company when I was 28. I'm 35 and I'm the oldest, so we're working with a lot of younger vendors and even suppliers who have younger team members. They become more tech savvy, and as we're heavily focused on social media, which helps. So now, instead of doing the lunch and learns and kind of looking through magazines, a lot of it's come through Instagram. Actually, we follow a lot of suppliers and vendors, and we look at new products that way. And we do follow a lot of other builders. There's a lot, I think, now geared towards explaining what products are better for homeowners and projects, a lot more than a couple of years back. I don't recall ever seeing certain builders on Instagram or anything like that really pushing different building type materials and stuff like that. So now we're relying heavily on sort of social media and younger vendors, really engaging with us via phone calls or just emails, letting us know which products.
I just want to add, like, it sounds, you're saying you're looking to some peers, other builders that are active on Instagram. And so it sounds like you find value in seeing, what other people are doing in the industry. And that to me sounds a lot like influencer marketing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. For us, it's like, we get a lot of our projects referral based, word of mouth is key, people trust. And for us, we follow builders who we know or vendors who we know provide great product. So we kind of trust them more, and seeing them kind of explain things on the social media, whatever it may be, kind of gives you a sort of more comfortable, trusting opinion on it versus just reading it through some sort of magazine.
Right.
And the crazy thing is a lot of our clients are on Instagram and stuff like that. So they love seeing their projects being posted. Other vendors love seeing them being promoted on it when we post something like that. And usually get, reshared and stuff like that. And then if you're, sometimes we tag the certain products we use, which is great. And the owners can kind of see that. So it's especially now with everyone being at home, a lot more people getting engaged, especially on the homeowner side, trying to see what's going on in the world. A lot of our clients do like to research as well.
Now you
Absolutely.
mentioned it's great to see things being explained. So is it safe to say that video is very is kind of favored as some of the content that's published?
Oh, absolutely. Especially for our guys. I mean, we try to work with a lot more younger trades just because they're more savvy when it comes to technology. And even so, like sometimes we get products and you open the box or whatever that may be, and you see a bunch of papers kind of flying around, and it always gets lost on job sites. And because our projects are so unique, we've come across some products that have actually QR codes or ways you could kind of just quickly take your phone and see install guides or the way this was manufactured and stuff like that, which is very helpful. And we're trying to, I think a lot of the products we are pushing more tend to be on the cutting edge of sort of getting engaged with social media and explaining the way their products work versus, just old school way of having a vendor come in.
Right. I think that's such a good point you're bringing up with QR codes, and what a great idea to make information on a dime. Like you're on a job site, you're troubleshooting, you're trying to figure out what you need to do to install this product, or what do you need to do differently, and it's as simple as pulling up a QR code that you can scan, for the contractor, the actual contractor installing the system, and reaching an installation guide. So some great
Yeah,
advice.
absolutely.
Yeah,
And we use our phones and iPads a lot. Like we try to shift away from the paper aspect of it. So our guys have iPads on site, and most of our trades have phones, obviously. So when we communicate, we either FaceTime if we're not on site, or we just pull up our phones and sort of search how it's done. But having a QR code, like simply, pasted on the side of something would be ideal for all the trades involved.
Yeah, and to add to that, coming from the digital side and working very heavily when it comes to updating clients' websites as well as handling their social media, each product, whether it's for commercial, residential, multi-unit, multi-family units, everything is going to have different installation guidelines, different troubleshootings, different maintenance requirements. You can have one series of a product with 15 different lines. So I think it's really important for manufacturers to learn that those QR codes save valuable time of having an individual like yourself or your team members. They can scan the QR code, it goes right to that exact product, as opposed to, oh, well, here's our troubleshooting area, here's our FAQ area. That's great. But if you're having an FAQ section with 15 to 20 questions per product line, it's going to take you a lot longer to search through it and to look through it. And, it really comes down a lot to the evolution of the user experience when it comes to providing instant information, easy to navigate information, and, delivering the easiest possible solution for contractors, for homeowners, for whomever you're trying to get that information to. And that's something that we're seeing a lot more of trending, and is going to be the difference between, is it safe to say something like that could make a difference between using one client's product over another, if that information is easy to access versus you're spending half an hour trying to find a simple solution?
Yeah, and just to add to that, like because we do a lot of unique projects, there's a lot of products we use that we've never kind of come across, and they may come from the architect, they may come from just seeing something that we would advise the homeowner to do. And when we try to explain how to install certain things or how this product works, we usually have to type in like the model number and copy and paste certain things from the web to them to explain it. So it does take a lot of time on our end. And we're trying to be as efficient as possible from a builder standpoint, where we don't have that much time. So, providing some easy to kind of navigate thing where it's one for homeowner, one for, installers is kind of a thing we look for in some of the products we use.
Right.
So that kind of asks what I've got some insight onto that, but what about, what other influencing does for a brand? Like what else influences you to be loyal or to try something else?
For us, I don't know. When I was an architect, there was more brand loyalty. I'm not sure if it was just ease of going from project to project, where we use this on this project, we know the details, we'll just take those details or whatever and put it into this project. For me as a builder, I always look for whatever's best for the homeowner. And if I come across something online or on social media, I'll dig into it myself. Or, I'm renovating my house now, and there's a lot of products that came up in past discussions with homeowners or clients, and we've never come around to using them. So I'm actually testing a lot of it on my own house to see how it works, from different vent covers to filtration systems to, faucets and linear drains and stuff like that. Just because if there's going to be a mistake, I'd rather have it be on my house than someone else's.
Sure.
But I don't particularly have any brand loyalty when I work with vendors or subs. Right now, like the biggest key for the people we constantly use is they're just really good at customer service or explaining or being there if there's a problem, or providing the necessary information. And that's why we go back to them. Lead times are huge, so we tend to gravitate towards, manufacturers or trade or vendors who provide up-to-date sort of detailing on when they expect it, if there's a price increase, because that's been a big drag on us right now, is just having issues with getting material or having pricing increase every month, it seems, which is kind of crazy on our end. So for me, if a vendor or product makes it easier for me to show to a homeowner or an architect or a client and stuff like that, I'd rather use them, because I do have clients asking me about certain things, and I just don't have time to fully research the whole entire web to see what the best pros and cons are of each particular product. So that's kind of what I look forward to in terms of who I use.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So if you were to, decide that a certain product might be a better fit for a certain project, what are some of those key aspects? And you mentioned pros and cons, what are those pros that you look for in a product and would want to learn more of?
Yeah, so we recently had a meeting on site with the homeowner, architect, and our trade person. It was a HVAC, and we were talking about radiant systems and furnaces and stuff like that. The trade person has its own particular. He's pushing certain products. The architect has this experience with other products. And the homeowner doesn't know the difference between both, so they're kind of looking to us to help guide. And after the meeting, he came back like, "Can we look at the specs? I want to do my own research and stuff like that." So we try to provide as clear, our 2 cents of what we've used in the past and what works. But for me, it's hard because everyone has their own sort of, like, this trade person wants to use that, architect is comfortable with that. Like, how do you find a nice balance between the two? And a lot of the times that products win is that there's an ease of explanation, on whatever. And oftentimes we find their Instagram does a great job. A lot of clients look at different products on Instagram, like, "Oh, I saw them actually put into use, explained it. I'd like to go with this one." And it's just as simple as that sometimes, versus the old traditional way of just like going through the web and seeing what's going on.
Absolutely. Okay, so I know our clients, building product manufacturers, they're always, looking to solve problems and see what they can do better, to address your pain points. So you did mention some pain points in terms of lead time and communication, but what are some of your other pain points when it comes to working with suppliers, manufacturers, or distributors?
I mean, number one is just lead times, like I mentioned. That's kind of the hardest at this point. That's just given with our current situation. Price points, that's another one, just given our current situation. But what tends to happen now is installation on a lot. So we'll order actually a lot of materials up front when we start a project and just store it. Well, if we have time, we'll go through it and see actually how we could go about installing it prior to actually, dropping off site and talking to the trades. So we do our own little due diligence of how things are put together. But that's kind of our biggest struggle right now, is a lot of these products that we use, because we use a lot of unique different products per project. It's not like the same thing over and over again, is installation and seeing the best way it's done, because we do a lot of different linear drains and they require a little bit of different things. We use different radiant systems and they require certain things. So for us, the biggest struggle is just finding the key information to provide for, the tradesperson and having them do it properly. And then us just knowing exactly what the best way to apply this certain product. So we have to spend some time actually figuring it out. And that's sometimes, if we can't figure it out with the papers they provide, we actually search it on YouTube. But in terms of, that's kind of our biggest three right now, is just figuring out, lead times, pricing, and stuff.
Absolutely.
And do you think, having video would help significantly reduce some barriers when it comes to language barriers, or even just schematics?
Absolutely. Yeah, we because a lot of our trades are, you know, I'm Polish, so it's easy for me to communicate with certain trades that are Polish, but half my guys don't speak the language, so it's a little hard in that way. And so we actually use video sometimes, and we'll search YouTube. I feel like this is the best way to do it. You know, we've done our own research. You know, sometimes they're stuck in their old ways, the older trades, and so they're like, oh, we can't do it this way. So I actually had one of my PMs call the manufacturer and say, we want to approach doing it this way. Can it be done? You know, and so they kind of troubleshot themselves. Shoot, I guess I don't know what probably would say, but they discussed it on site as they were doing it. Yeah, exactly. They were discussing it on site as we were doing it with the trade present, you know, and so it was actually, we could do it the way we were hoping, you know, and so that was kind of one way to approach it. But video we often use, you know, and it's kind of nice, you know, and there's some products I've been searching on social media now that I've kind of saved to maybe push because I've seen some of the builders use it, and it's definitely cool. And right now everything is kind of going towards a healthier living, you know, better filtration systems in the house, better you know, any radiant is being pushed very heavily recently, and it hasn't been the case because they want to offset the heating and it's more comfortable. And there's a lot of pros to that. And you know, filtering water, filtering your air, window types, having it being, you know, really efficient. So we're seeing, you know, those.
Are you guys experiencing lag from him?
Just a little.
Just a little bit of a lag.
Oh. You're back.
Yeah.
Sure. We lost you there for a little bit, Conrad.
Oh, sorry.
Technology.
You look very passionate about your answer.
I was talking about technology, and then
yeah, absolutely. Just one follow-up question to that before we jump into fielding some questions from the audience. By the way, any of the attendees, if you have a question for Conrad, feel free to put it into the Q&A section or into the chat section, and we'll answer those live for you here in a minute. But Conrad, in regards to some of those trends you mentioned, do you often have the homeowner come to you requesting, you know, or bringing up the trends like water quality and sustainability? Like, you know, do they care about those trends, and how do you then go about delivering what the homeowner is requesting or the building owner is requesting?
Yeah, I think in the last 2 years, it's been a bigger stance on sort of indoor home quality. You know, I do have a lot of homeowners who are asking me what I think about certain things they've heard, which is strange because usually the projects we have are 800K and up. So they tend to go to the architect and then, well, this was before, and then let us build what was there. But now, because they're being, you know, they're spending more time at home, they're looking into how do I improve my living conditions, you know, and so they do come to me, and I've actually made it a point where I on weekends would just search different materials and different things to help improve, you know, living conditions, save it, and then I'll have a little bit of that knowledge to sort of go, you know, respond when a homeowner asks me about certain things. I'm just seeing a lot of, you know, indoor air quality. I'm seeing a lot of how do you filter the water and stuff like that? How do you make the home more efficient to lower my utility bills? So it's like those three key things are what's being pushed on my end, you know. And so yeah. I do my own research from time to time just to kind of keep up to date with what's going on. And I usually get it from other builders, you know, because a lot of builders are now making a point to push certain materials that are better for the homeowners and clients.
Absolutely. They're very interesting. You know, we write a lot about these trends, and it's good to hear it straight from the source that, you know, it is trending out there and they are hearing this from the homeowner. All right, so we are close to our end. We have 5 minutes here before we're technically supposed to end. So we do have some questions. So Elsie, she will be fielding some of our questions, one of our colleagues here at Greenhouse. So thanks so much, Elsie.
Hello. So one of the questions that have come in is, in your opinion, is social media accelerating the fast fashion concept in construction? So meaning people are more interested in the look rather than the meaning behind materials or suppliers' mission to be more eco-friendly or tackle sustainable issues.
That's a good question. I don't know if it's more fast fashion. I think social media has accelerated our knowledge of what is being put in their homes as opposed to before. So it provides owners with, and some other tradespeople or people like myself, to fully understand what is being, pushed out there in the marketplace. I don't see it being fast fashion, like clothing, you kind of switch out for the latest trend. The biggest, things we're hearing now is just, how do I make my home or a project healthier, and so I don't think those products are, fast fashion by any ways. They're here to stay, especially given our pandemic. I think the best people who come up, the vendors and manufacturers come across best, just do a good job explaining, how this will in fact make your life better or your home, and it's not necessarily being heavily geared towards one certain thing. It's like, you provide this product inside your home, here are the benefits, and I think that's here to stay. I don't think that's going to go away anytime soon. They're not really, it's not like a thing where it's like, oh, this is the latest trend of making my house eco. Like, here's why, and there's certain things, like I put a water filtration in my home just because it was recommended by someone else, not even in the trade. He was a chiropractor. I had to have an issue, and he's like, some of my clients have recommended this. This has helped them even just with their day-to-day. And I looked into it, and the manufacturer did a good job explaining how the whole system works, how long it'll benefit you for when you need to replace it. So that's something that I found interesting, and I actually put it in my home to see how that will function.
And from a manufacturing standpoint, we are seeing a lot of that, either sustainability or healthy home push when it comes to products. And one issue sometimes that arises is, especially when it comes to paid content, social media channels think, oh my goodness, you're talking about environmental issues. You can't say this, type of water heater system, this tankless system is going to save more water than a traditional system, because Facebook police don't like that. And so that is becoming kind of an issue. And, there are ways that manufacturers do need to try to get that message across without risking Facebook jail or Instagram jail, because, for some reason it's a bad issue to talk about, according to them, even though it is important to see, and a lot of homeowners are trying to concept into their homes.
And I think I want to add, like, you bring up a good point, Conrad. It's not necessarily that they care, and this is what I'm getting from what you're saying, is it's not necessarily that they care, like, I'm going to go eco-friendly because I want to save the planet, but rather coming to them and saying, what can eco-friendly products do for you in terms of, does it save you money? Does it save you time? Does it make your life easier? And so that is probably the messaging, manufacturers should rather focus on, is what is it giving back to the homeowner instead.
Absolutely. And I know for a fact that they would pick one product over another, even if it's more expensive, if they know the benefits to them are greater, as opposed to, this is how you will help, reduce carbon emission, whatever. I'm just throwing a random thing out.
Yeah, for sure.
Because they're spending so much time in their homes and everything like that. It's like, it's already a huge investment, and so how does it help my family and I, live a better life, a healthier life within, and it's not necessarily selfish, because hopefully by them trying to go that route, it's in turn going to help, the environment regardless. If you provide a more, efficient house, hopefully you're using less utilities, you're using less whatever, and so that's sort of what we're seeing is, how can this home be healthier, as opposed to, when I was an architect, it was a little bit different push. It's like, these products were made this certain way and stuff like that. But it's completely different in my professional experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And that makes sense. And yes, and there is one other question. Do you have any best friends who are architects? I know I'll get in trouble if I don't answer that question, and we all know who that came from.
Oh yeah, I do. He's my long lost brother.
And the architects are our next quarter feature. So if you want to throw your hat in the ring, feel free to. I'm not going to call you
There
out, but
you
you
go.
know
You
who you
have to sit
are.
on this one. Love architects.
I love it. Gotta love them. Elsie, do we have any other questions?
You know what, there was a little bit more of a follow-up on the previous question. And he had mentioned maybe not so much sustainability being a trend, but are there negative effects of social media that actually encourage wastefulness or promote toxic materials simply because they look good?
That is a good question. I don't know if that's the case. It's hard for me to say that because our projects are so unique. Like the materials that we use, it's not, I guess architects do have a look, and so we work with a lot of architects. I don't necessarily think that they picked a certain material over just aesthetics to make it a waste. Even when they pick a certain material, we'll try to work with the architect to see what sizing works. Like let's just say siding, for example, because that comes across a lot for us. We'll actually work with them to see what sizing is best, so we reduce the amount of cuts needed, and if this size works better for this application, we could reduce not only the material but the cost for the homeowner. And we do a lot of exercises like that. Is if we pick a certain material, how can we make it efficient? Because for us, we don't like wasting material either. It's kind of sad how much material is being wasted to begin with in architecture and construction. A lot of it's just going to the dump. But we've done a lot of certain builds where we know that if they pick this, here's the best way to approach it. So we try to use our expertise to help eliminate some of that waste. And if we know a product is not good to begin with, like we just hear certain things about it, then we'll try to push the homeowner or the architect to go a different route, just from our experience. So I guess that's the best way for me to explain that.
Absolutely.
And that's all the questions that we have today.
Perfect.
Great.
Well, thank you so much, everybody, for watching us, and especially to you, Conrad. I think a lot of this information will help our manufacturers as well as, other individuals in this industry have a really good understanding more than ever of what, exactly it is that are some of the driving forces behind product purchase, loyalty, ease of information, and hopefully, that can help adapt to some of the ways that, make things easier for you. I know the QR code thing is definitely something we're going to be writing about in our follow-up blog to this article that hopefully will get out by the end of this week, if not next week. And the whole purpose is not just to help the manufacturers, but to help the end user, such as yourself, to really be more sustainable on the job site, more thorough, save time, save costs, and just really have a wealth of information that's going to help you do your job more efficiently.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. I mean, if I go out, my last thing to say is we live in a digital world, really. As much as I don't like it because I'm more outdoorsy, hands-on, it is what it is. And so with people's limited attention, like the quicker you could get the information to them, the better. And I've seen this from, lately. I've seen this, so I'm hopeful that it gets better with each material where it's easy to see and easy to explain.
Absolutely.
Great. Well, thank you again so much. And as I mentioned previously, our next webinar is going to be we're going to be talking with architects. So if there are any architects on, or anybody that you'd like to refer, please let us know. And again, each quarter we are going to be handling a different topic, different industry professionals to help everybody in this game.
Appreciate it.
Awesome.
Thank you.
All right. Have a great
Thanks so
rest of
much.
your day. Thank you for joining us.
You too.
Goodbye.
Bye.